So what I'm showing you is an animation of the ground-launched small diameter bomb, or GLSDB. This is a new weapon that the United States is giving a substantial shipment of to Ukraine. And the reason this is important is it can be launched from the existing HIMARS and has an extended range of 150 kilometers. The tests that were recently conducted in the United States were very successful, and they also have a high precision capability here. So Ukraine is in dire need of something like this. They need a longer range asset to strike deeper into Russian-held territory, and it will supplement the limited supply of Army tactical missile system rockets that we've provided them, the ATACMS. Those ATACMS have a much larger range, but these GLSDB, these glide bombs, will empower the Ukrainian military to target locations at twice the distance achievable than the current HIMARS with Gimler's rockets. And this development has the potential to compel Russia to move its supplies, its command and control, and its other high-value assets further away from the front lines. Recent testing took place on January 16th at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, and according to Boeing, 6 rockets were fired during the test over the Gulf of Mexico, and all 6 were successful in hitting their targets. The Biden administration, the decision to supply Ukraine with these glide bombs represents an alternative to the ATACMS missiles, which has only been provided in limited quantities thus far. Ukraine's existing supply of ATACMS has been completely depleted because of usage, albeit that usage was quite successful. Now, these new glide bombs are not as potent as ATACMS. They are considerably more cost effective. They're more compact. They're easier to deploy. They align better with Ukraine's objectives of disrupting Russian operations and logistics. Though they can be intercepted, these bombs only cost $40,000, and the Russians, using their S-300s, their Pantsir systems, those cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, those missiles. So the cost trade-off is significant. When Boeing initially proposed the weapon to the military last year, they offered an expedited 9-month option for delivery. Publicly, the Pentagon stated the funding was approved in February for this, and production went into effect the following month. Now, since the glide bomb has already been funded, it can bypass the recent congressional funding dispute, the stoppage in funding we've seen, and can get to Ukraine. Now, I can hear the confusion where I'm saying it's a glide bomb, but I also keep calling it a missile. Well, the ground-launched small diameter bomb is ground-launched. It's in its name, which means it's launched from a ground-based platform such as the HIMARS or a fixed launch site. The missile is equipped with a propulsion system, usually a solid rocket motor, to propel it towards its target, and after launch, the rocket engine burns out and the missile enters its mid-course phase. During this phase, it navigates towards the target using the information from its guidance systems. This phase may involve some course corrections based on real-time updates from GPS or other navigation systems. Now, as it approaches the target, it transitions to a terminal phase where deployed wings help it glide. During this phase, the missile may use various guidance methods to ensure precision targeting. This can be GPS, it can be inertial navigation, or laser guidance. So what we see here is a mix. It's a bomb, but it's also a missile. What's interesting is it outranges the current M31 Gimler's missile system that Ukraine is using by about 60 kilometers. It has a similar explosive weight of about 205 pounds, whereas the M31 has a 200-pound explosive weight. So we're not seeing much of a difference between the HIMARS Gimler's rocket and the ground-launched small-diameter bomb here. So what does this mean on the battlefield? Well, you can see now in green everything the small diameter bomb, this ground launched small diameter bomb, can hit, which includes parts of Crimea. Now, previously, the HIMARS was only hitting in ranges around this area right here. And this meant that roads that ran along the front line to resupply Russians were largely unscathed because of the inability of the Ukrainians to hit them in any kind of meaningful way with HIMARS, with artillery. But these ground-launched small-diameter bombs with their glide features can hit the entire battlefield in occupied Ukraine as well as portions of Crimea, and this can be somewhat of a game changer, because these were specifically designed to go to Ukraine as a part of a separate funding item, so they don't rely on the current funding requirements. So the US can give these to Ukraine as fast as Boeing can pump them out, and that's a good thing for the Ukrainians to be able to expand their kit bag on how to strike deep into Russian held territory. As I said, hitting mission command nodes, hitting logistics nodes, hitting supply routes, rail routes, things like that, that traditionally Ukraine couldn't hit. So now it adds a degree of chaos for the Russians, meaning they may have to start pulling these nodes, these logistics nodes, these command and control nodes, mission command nodes, further from the front line, which means that having that capability further from the front line means that resupply takes longer. It means that orders given by mission command centers may take longer to be received, or they may have less battlefield awareness of what's going on because of the distance from the battlefield they now have to be.